Introduction. My name is Alina. I am 56 years old. I live a quiet life. I love my son Michael very much. He is the most important person to me. I always want him to be happy. One evening, Michael came to my house. He brought a woman named Ivy. She was his new partner. I was happy to meet her. Ivy looked young, maybe about 30 years old. She was very beautiful. She had long, dark hair and a gentle face. When she spoke, her voice was soft. She smiled often, but I looked closely at her eyes. They held a deep sadness. It was like a shadow behind her smile. I felt something strange immediately. I felt she was hiding something important. I could not ignore this feeling. I tried to tell myself that I was just being an over-worried mother. We sat down for dinner. Michael was very happy. He looked at Ivy all the time. He looked like a man who was deeply in love. He talked about their future plans. Ivy was quiet sometimes. She ate slowly. I watched her face and her hands, looking for a sign of what was hidden. Then, Michael told me something important. He said, "Ivy is a widow, Mom." The word widow made the room quiet. I looked at Ivy. She looked down at her plate. Michael continued talking. He said her husband died only 1 year ago. This was very recent. I felt the air grow cold. 1 year is a very short time to lose a husband and start a new relationship. I felt coldness in the air. Michael did not seem to notice. He saw only her beauty and the future, but I saw the past in her eyes. I saw the fresh pain. I worried for Michael. I worried that she was still grieving. I worried she was looking for comfort, not true love. She was seeking a safe place to hide her memories. I kept my thoughts quiet. I smiled and said, "It is nice to meet you, Ivy." But I knew this meeting started a difficult story. I hoped I was wrong, but the sadness in her eyes told me the truth was complicated. 2. A fast wedding. I tried hard to warn my son. I told him to be careful. I said he must take things slowly. Ivy needed time to heal. Her husband died only 1 year ago. I did not want him to rush into a difficult situation. I told Michael that true love needs time to grow strong. Michael did not listen to me. He thought I was worried too much. He said I did not understand their love. He told me their love was special and very strong. Michael believed that Ivy felt lonely, and he was the person who could help her. He told me that Ivy loved him very much. He said that I should trust them. He refused to see any possible problem. He was blinded by his love for her. Time passed quickly. It was only a few months later. Michael called me and sounded very happy. He told me that they decided to marry soon. I was very surprised by this news. I thought it was too fast. I felt worried in my heart because everything was happening quickly. They did not plan a big wedding. They wanted the wedding to be small and quick. They did not want many guests or a long celebration. This fast wedding felt wrong to me. It did not feel like a happy beginning. I felt sad because it lacked joy and careful planning. The wedding day arrived. It was a simple ceremony at the courthouse. I watched them stand together. Michael looked very happy. He looked full of hope and love. He was giving his entire heart to Ivy. He promised her everything, but Ivy looked different. She was beautiful in her white dress. She smiled when she said the vows, but her eyes looked distant. I felt that she was not truly present in the moment. She was not giving her whole heart to Michael. I realized something painful as I watched them. Michael loved Ivy, but Ivy was not looking for a new husband. She was looking for a safe place. She wanted a quiet home where she could hide her sadness. She wanted to escape the pain of her past. She saw Michael as her shelter. This thought made me very uneasy. I hoped I was wrong, but my feelings told me the truth. 3. The old husband. Michael and Ivy are married now. They live together in a house. I visit them often because I want to see that Michael is truly happy. I want to trust their love. But when I visit, I start to see small problems. These problems are like little cuts that make my heart sink. I feel worried about their future together. Sometimes Ivy talks to Michael and she starts to call him a name, but she stops very fast. She says the sound M, and then she quickly changes the name to Michael. I know what is happening. I know she is thinking about her first husband. His name was Mark. She almost calls Michael by Mark's name. This mistake happens more than once. Michael does not seem to notice these small things. Maybe he chooses not to see them. He is very happy to be married. He thinks everything in their life is perfect. Ivy sometimes sings a quiet song when she is busy. She hums the tune when she is cooking or cleaning the house. Then, suddenly, she stops the song. Her face becomes very sad and serious. It looks like she remembers a painful moment from the past. She looks away, far into the distance. It is clear that the past is still very close to her heart. It is not just a memory. It is a strong feeling that is always in the room with them. One day, I remember a date. I know this date is the anniversary of her first wedding. I wait to see how Ivy will act. Michael does not know this date is important to her. He plans a nice dinner for Ivy. He wants them to celebrate their new life together. But Ivy is different that day. She is very quiet and cold. She sits at the dinner table like a shadow. She does not smile or talk much. Michael tries to ask her what is wrong. Ivy just says, "It was a bad day." She does not tell him the truth about the anniversary. Later that night, I hear sounds in the house. Ivy is crying alone in the dark bedroom. Her sadness is very deep and heavy. Michael sleeps and does not hear her soft cries. He does not understand the ghost that lives in their home. The ghost is the memory of the husband who died. Michael refuses to see this ghost. He wants to believe that Ivy is completely his wife now. but I know that a part of her heart is still living in the past with the man she lost. 4. A talk with Ivy. I was Eleanor. I could not watch my son Michael suffer in silence anymore. He did not see the sadness that filled his own home. I knew that I had to speak the truth. I decided I must talk to Ivy alone. I waited for a day when Michael went out for work. The house was very quiet when I arrived. I found Ivy in the living room. She was looking out the window, and her face looked tired and sad. I sat across from her on the sofa. I spoke very softly. I did not want to make her angry or defensive. "Ivy," I said, "I know you are in pain. I can see it in your eyes every time you think of the past. The sadness is very deep." She looked at me, but she did not speak. I waited a moment. I continued gently. "Your first husband, Mark, is still here. He is in this house with you. He is in your heart. You cannot hide him from your marriage." I told her that Michael loved her very much. I explained that love needs honesty to grow. "You cannot build a new marriage on the sadness of the old one," I said. "It is not fair to Michael. It is not fair to you either. You must be honest with yourself and with my son about your feelings." My voice was kind, but my words were strong and clear. Ivy put her hands over her face. She started to cry immediately. She cried like a young child who had lost everything important. Her body shook with heavy sobs. I moved closer to her and put my hand on her shoulder. I did not say anything else. I let her cry for a long time. She needed to release the pain she held inside. When she finally looked up, her eyes were very red. She began to speak slowly. Her voice was low and broken, full of shame. "I was so lonely, Eleanor," she confessed. "After Mark died, my world was completely empty. I felt guilty every day. I felt I should be sad forever. Michael was so kind to me. He made me feel safe. He made the terrible loneliness go away for a while." She paused, taking a shaky breath. "I married him because I needed a safe place to hide. I needed an escape from the grief. I did not marry him with a full, new heart. I feel like I am betraying Mark every single time I hold Michael's hand or look at his kind face." Hearing her words, my heart felt two strong things at once. First, I felt deep compassion for this broken young woman. She was not a bad person. She was just hurt by grief. But second, I felt a terrible, sharp fear for my son. He deserved a wife who chose him completely. He was just the cure for her loneliness, not her true love. I knew that this painful truth, now spoken, would hurt him more than anything. 5. The truth hurts. I listened as Ivy cried. She told me the hard truth. She felt very guilty about the death of her first husband. She felt terribly alone. She married Michael because he was kind and safe. She did not marry him for true, new love. I felt sorry for her, but I was also very scared for my son. Suddenly, the front door opened. Michael came home early from work. He stopped immediately in the hallway. He heard Ivy's last words clearly. He heard her speak the painful truth out loud. The sound of her voice was quiet, but the words were strong. I looked at his face, and his expression changed completely. It was a terrible moment. He did not look angry. Anger is often loud and sharp. This feeling was quiet and went very deep. It was pure, painful hurt. Michael's body seemed to shrink. He stood still, like a stone statue. He realized everything about their relationship at that moment. He finally understood that his marriage was not a happy beginning for Ivy. It was only a place for her to hide her sadness. Ivy looked up and saw him standing there. She stopped crying for just a moment, then she started again, crying much harder than before. She called his name, saying, "Michael." She tried to walk toward him, but her feet could not move. She felt trapped by her own words. Michael's eyes looked empty. He looked at his wife, but he did not truly see her. He only saw the truth. The truth was a big, strong wall standing between them now. It was a wall built of sadness, loneliness, and honest words. It made the room feel very cold. I stood up slowly from my chair. I wanted to help them, but I knew I could not do anything. This terrible, true moment belonged only to them. Michael had always seen Ivy as a perfect woman who loved him completely. Now, he saw a woman who used his heart just to feel safe. Ivy continued to cry, saying sorry again and again. Michael did not say anything back to her. He just stood and looked down at the floor. The silence in the room was heavier than any shout or fight. The truth hurt him more than any lie could have. It broke the love they thought they had built. My heart felt heavy and very sore. I loved my son so much, and I wanted to take his pain away. But I also felt pain for Ivy. She was not a bad person. She was just a lonely person who made a wrong decision when she was grieving. She needed time and help, not a husband. I watched them both. My son was hurt and broken. His wife was crying and guilty. The dream of their happy future was now completely gone. They had to face the difficult reality. The truth had arrived, and it hurt both of them greatly. Their life together could never be the same after this hard day. 6. A big decision. After the painful confession, many days passed. The house was very quiet. It was a cold quiet that filled every room. Michael did not speak much. He felt lost and sad. He walked around the house, but he did not see anything. He felt empty inside. Ivy tried to talk to him sometimes. She wanted to say sorry again and again, but Michael could not listen. The truth was too big between them. It was like a heavy stone wall built in the middle of their home. They both knew that life could not continue this way. They could not live in this sadness forever. They were two people sharing a house, but they were not sharing a life. One evening, after the sun went down, they sat down at the kitchen table. They needed to talk. This time, it was not a fight. It was a serious conversation about their life together. Michael started the conversation. He said, "We cannot pretend anymore." Ivy nodded slowly. Her eyes were red from crying. She looked very tired. Michael's face also showed great tiredness. His heart felt heavy, like a large weight. They talked about the moment he heard the truth. Michael explained his pain. He understood that Ivy did not mean to hurt him, but the hurt was real and deep. Ivy replied, "I hurt you because I was hiding my own pain. I used you to feel safe. I am truly sorry for that." They talked for a long time. They agreed that their marriage began with a mistake. It began with sadness and a secret. Now they had only two choices. They could end the marriage. This would be quick, but it would be very painful for both of them. It meant giving up on everything they tried to build. The second choice was harder. They could choose to fight for the marriage, but they had to fight with honesty. They had to fight with all the truth, not just some of it. They had to build a brand new foundation for their relationship. This path meant long work and maybe more pain first, but it also meant hope for a real future. They looked at each other. The silence returned, but this time it was different. It was a silence of thought, not anger. This was the biggest decision of their lives. It would decide their entire future. They knew they could not rush the answer. They needed time to think about the two paths. Ending the marriage meant returning to loneliness. Fighting for it meant facing the ghost of the past together, step by step. 7. Working together. Michael and Ivy talked for many hours. They talked for days, sitting quietly in their living room. The painful silence from chapter 6 was gone, replaced by difficult, honest words. It was a very hard choice, but they finally decided to stay married. They understood that their marriage was weak. They knew they needed to build a new, strong foundation based only on truth. They agreed to work hard on their problems every single day. They promised each other they would never pretend to be happy again if they were not. The first step toward healing was difficult. They needed professional help to guide them through the real pain. They decided to start therapy together. Seeing a therapist was a very new experience for both Michael and Ivy. The therapist taught them important rules: how to speak without anger and how to listen without judgment. In the quiet therapy room, Ivy finally began to speak about her late husband, Mark. For months, she had kept his memory locked deep inside her heart. She felt deep guilt if she spoke his name. She believed that talking about Mark was a betrayal of Michael. Now, she spoke openly about her sadness and her loss. She talked about the good times they shared and the difficult feelings she had after he died 1 year ago. Michael listened carefully. This was the hardest part of the process for him. Hearing about Mark often made him feel deeply jealous and scared. He worried that Ivy loved the ghost of her past more than she loved the man standing in front of her. The therapist helped Michael understand these complex feelings. Michael learned that Ivy's history was not a threat to his future with her. He realized that true love is not just a simple feeling. It requires difficult, honest work and acceptance. He saw that he needed to accept all parts of Ivy, even the parts marked by sadness. Ivy learned something vital too. She learned that she did not need to hide her memories or her grief to be a good wife to Michael. She saw that Michael truly wanted to understand her whole heart. This acceptance was a great gift. Slowly, the heavy atmosphere in their home started to change. The ghost of the past began to feel lighter. They were learning to deal with the memories together, acting as a unified team. It was painful work, but it was honest work. They were walking a difficult path, step by step, rebuilding trust. They found that working together was the only way to find a true and lasting hope. 8. Hope for the future. I decide to visit Michael and Ivy one evening. It has been many weeks since they decided to work hard on their marriage. I feel nervous when I walk up to their front door. I hope they have found peace. When I step inside, the house feels very different. Before, the air was heavy and quiet. Now, the house feels warm and soft. There is a nice smell of food cooking in the kitchen. I hear music playing softly, a happy, simple song. Michael is standing by the stove. He smiles when he sees me. His smile is different, too. It is a true, relaxed smile. He looks healthy and much less tired than he did before. Ivy comes into the room carrying 2 cups of tea. She sees me and stops. Her eyes are not sad anymore. They look bright and calm. She asks me to sit down quickly. We sit together at the small kitchen table. Michael tells me about his work. Ivy talks about a new hobby she started. She is learning how to paint nature scenes. She talks easily and openly. She does not look down or hide her face, as she often did in the past. Suddenly, Michael says something funny about how difficult it is to paint a straight line. Ivy laughs loudly. It is a clear, beautiful sound. I have never heard Ivy laugh like that before. It is not a careful sound. It is honest and full of happiness. I watch them interact with each other. Michael gently touches her arm when he passes the sugar bowl. Ivy leans toward him when she speaks. These are small movements, but they show big changes. They show trust and comfort. I remember the beginning of their story. It started with sadness. It began with a secret and much pain. I was so worried for my son. I thought the past would always be stronger than their future together. But now I see something new. I see 2 people working hard every day. They are not hiding from the truth anymore. They are facing it together. The memory of the past is still there, but it is much smaller now. It is just a memory, not a large wall between them. Ivy tells me that the therapy sessions help her understand her own deep grief. She understands that loving Michael does not mean forgetting her first husband. She can keep her memories and still build a new life. Michael listens to her words carefully. He looks supportive, not hurt. I see peace in Ivy's eyes. I see real love in Michael's actions. I realize that their marriage is now strong because it is built on honesty. It is not perfect, but it is real. They are building a life that belongs only to them. When I leave their home late that night, my heart feels light. I finally believe in their future. I see hope. It is a long road, but they are walking it together, hand in hand. I am happy for my son and for his wife.